Hi everyone. Today we're going to answer some questions that involving some of the questions that we're going to learn on the reading comprehensions. How math is our real 6 different sets. So let's talk about the multiple choices and short response. So there was about 10 different kind of questions. Is 10 question, and then in the question number 3 in the multiple choices and short response, we have the question number 3. What emotion is implied when Eddie recalled seeing his names in the dark and shameful place on the competition list? Short answers. So my short answer is that he is quite embarrassing and ashamed that mostly he didn't enjoy much, or he didn't like math much. So he was recalling seeing his name in the dark and shameful place. Now, go back to the questions of on the other side, to question number 10. What underlying message is convincingly sophisticated when love mathematics? So, when we're thinking of this, we might think about the celebrations or the embarrassment, that embarrassing or appreciating some mathematicians. So that is. So once I look around, there was the question number 6. There also be, why does Eddie describe mathematics as sense? So mathematics involve a lot of different things. They involve a sense that we see in it, and the sense that we know it's true, it's or false, which is a sense that we usually do. So for imagine, when you are answering math questions, we know it's what the answer are and don't actually know how to express themselves. There's a sense we know, the sense we actually feel in ourselves that we know that's what the answer are. Now let's go to the open-ended discussion questions. First question: Eddie Woos argued that we are all wired to be mathematicians. In our view, to what extent it is mathematical thinking innate or learned. So Eddie Woos argued that we are all wired to be mathematicians. Well, usually math is a stand to be mathematical thinking innate, but mostly requires to learn from discussions or experience, and learn from education and experience. Second, the speaker described mathematics as a creative and even artistic pursuit. Do you agree with this framing? Well, why not? I definitely agreed it. So why? Mostly, mathematics is usually involved in the kind of symboling that are sympathetic, which is they involve shapes. They involve shapes and patterns. Mostly, math in geography, geos, it's usually involved by math involved with shapes, patterns, creativity, which means it's all filled with shapes. We also learn shapes like triangles, rectangles, and a top side. So there's so much shape that we learned on mathematics. Third, reflecting on your own education experience, do you think mathematics was taught in a way that revealed beauty and participant? Why could it be so improved? It could be improved because math is something people memorize them. It's mostly about memorizing. We should imply that with the real life examples, real life works, and real life working styles, which we can imply in our own math. About math, it's like reading math, which is people have a paragraph to answer some of the questions. So there was about for example, there was a garden is about there are 2 inch high and 2 inch low. So we can know that there are real life examples. Think about if you have that and then you apply on real life examples, except you're just memorizing what it means or what the answer and write it on your test. That's could be improved. 4. How do metaphor and ideology compare math to music or sense, enhance the comprehensive of the speaker message? So how do metaphor and ideologies, comparing math to music and also comparing that to senses, enhance and persuasive of the speaker message? So math is all like that. It's full of creativities. It's full of widening messages and wide metaphor and ideology. Mostly, they are involving a lot of creative ways. Music or just like shapes. People use a lot of different strings and piano shapes, which is different memorizing keys. So we memorizing numbers, not the answers usually. So we memorize each step and each knowledge we have, and that is the same as music. He experienced music are just like that. He need to improve more and to think or see widely about what it is instead of giving up. Also, he can compare to lots of things, like shapes around us. They're full of mathematical shapes, even in any kind of subjects. Science offers shapes, geography in the world, and maps have tons of different shapes that goes up with the country. So they're full of amazing and beautiful shapes within the speaker, or the speakers help give the message to us. Fifth is the use of natural examples like fractals and global ratios suggests that math is combined with universe. What implication does this have to how we view the relationship between science, art, and nature? So the science, the art, and nature are full of examples about the fractal and golden ratios. There are tons of lines, tons of shit we learn from the nature between the science of it. They are full of scientific, they're full of ratios, they're full of nature. It's not just only about like the shape around us, like the shape of art, the shape of ratios. They are in math, they're related to everything. Math we can see in everything. Everybody have their sense of mathematics. Even we can't see it, we see which one is centimeter, which one is decimeters, which one is kilometers. So there's tons of different ratios, tons of different ways we can think of math is. We can imply that with real life examples. We can also apply it with natural resources and also the science and art. Arts and science and nature have the rules of there. So they're both implied with mathematics. So now my answer question is ended. Thank you for listening and goodbye.